Hey, well, it's 4th of July, 2020, and I'm going to do my first brake job on my Heritage Softail Classic in the front. I had my backs done the other day. I didn't have the tool for it, but I picked up some brake pads today, and surprisingly, they were open on the 4th. So we're just going to get started, so check it out. First things first, we're going to loosen the master cylinder screws. And then I'm going to put some rags around there just in case it spills out, because master cylinder fluid on paint, not good. It'll definitely strip it. As you can see, it bubbles the paint on the cylinder. So imagine what it would do to my gas tank. So I'm going to get that wrapped up, and then we'll begin. Okay, so I tied a rag around here, the master cylinder for the front. And I also put some covering over the gas tank, just in case it happens to drip. Don't want to get that on the tank. Okay, now that I loosened the cap on the master cylinder, next step is to loosen but not remove the bridge bolt pin right here. It's a metric size, and I am going to then, after loosening this, remove these two bolts and remove the caliper. Okay, so we're going to begin by loosening up this bolt pin. We're not going to remove it, we're just going to loosen it. Okay, and then we're going to remove the bracket screw here. And we're going to remove the caliper. And I believe that the bottom bolt is the short one, and the top one is the long one. And that's because of the disc. So it bypasses the disc here, but it doesn't here. So that's why you need the long one on top. Okay, that's the long one right there. And then we're going to remove the caliper gently without banging anything. And then we're going to inspect this to see if there's any damage, and there doesn't appear to be any damage. It's in good shape. So what we're going to do now is, seeing that we loosen the cap on the master cylinder, I'm going to use a flat-headed screwdriver just to open up the cylinders here, just to compress them. I'm not going to do it too hard so that the fluid doesn't come flying out of the master cylinder reservoir up on the handlebar, because you don't want that to happen. And once you compress these and open this up nice and wide, see, as it's opening nice and wide there, because the new brake pads are going to have a lot of meat on them, and they won't fit if you don't do this correctly. So you're going to make sure that you open this up good, and it doesn't appear to be any problems at all. They spread apart nicely. No master cylinder fluid has dripped out as far as I can see. So we're good to go. And now we can remove the bolt pins and remove this, so that the pads, so I can put the new ones in. Okay, so these are the Harley-Davidson brake pads, the new one for the front. And you can see these clips here, the spring clips. And you'll notice there's a little nub here. I don't know if you can see that right there. Doesn't have it on the other side. That is going to be facing towards the rear. Okay, and I'll show you It's right there. That faces the rear on both of them. You can see the little nubs on the both pads, and that's going to go towards the back. So you want to make sure you pay attention to that. Okay, now that these are compressed, we're going to remove the bridge pin that we loosened up earlier. Okay, we're removing that bridge pin. All right. And then we're going to take out the pad. Pop these out. Okay, so I'm inspecting inside here to make sure that the clips, the spring clips are engaged in here inside the pistons, and they are. So that looks very, very good. So now we can install the new one. And as I said, make sure that these little nubs at the end are facing the back, okay? And we'll do the same for the rear here. We're going to loosely install the bridge bolt pin in here. That's going to get installed loosely. You're not going to tighten it up. Okay, loose just like that. And then we're going to install the caliper back on the rotor. Just like that. And again, the top one is the long bolt. And the bottom one is the short bolt. And we're going to use a torque wrench, and I'm going to look at the actual torque, how much it's supposed to be torqued down. You can see these brake pads went down pretty far. Thank God I didn't get any damage on my rotor. I noticed it the other day, and I'm glad I did, because that could have been very costly. Okay, now I'm going to torque these down. It's supposed to be 28 to 38 foot-pounds for these two right here. So I've already just snugged them up by hand. And now I'm going to use the torque wrench. It's set for 35 foot-pounds. I'm not going to go to 38, I'm going to go to 35. And it says to do the bottom first. When you hear the click, you should be all set. Right there. And now this one. Yep, right there. So that's set at 35 foot-pounds. So the bridge bolt pin is now going to be set at 15 to 16 foot-pounds. So I'm going to set my torque wrench to that. Lock that in place. And that's it, right there. and it's all set. Now I'm going to compress the caliper, pump the front handbrake slowly, just to make it so that the pads squeeze the rotor. And then I'm going to secure the master cylinder cover after checking the fluid. Yeah, that's good. And I'm just going to pump the brake just so that it seats up against the rotor. Very gently. And there was no leaking there, which is good. And you can see the brake pads seated nicely on the rotor. So now I'm just going to take it for a small spinner on the block at low speeds to make sure that everything's copacetic. And then I'll check the fluid one more time. And that is pretty simple on how to change your front brake pads on a 2008 Heritage Softail Classic. Well, I just took it for a test run, and I'm still here, so I guess I did it right. I was able to stop. But that's it, yeah. She's complete. Worked out great. I have no leaks in my master cylinder up here. And got brand new brakes, front and rear.